What's going on, you guys? This is your boy RBG, aka the Random Black Gamer, bringing you an update on the current state of the War for Cybertron games. This has been something that's just turned into this strange anomaly, right? Because everything hinges on the people that actually worked on these games as well as the licensor of them, which is Hasbro. And many of you have been questioning what's going on with it, because you remember back in 2024, I made a video talking about how we could be seeing these things make a return to store shelves pretty soon, or at least in digital stores. But things didn't necessarily pan out like I thought they would, and it's been radio silent, and we got some things to go over, so stay tuned. Now, before we dive into today's topic, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Free Cash. If you're looking for a fun way to make money while playing around on your phone, then this app has you covered. It's a free platform where you can earn money by playing mobile games and completing surveys. You know how the old saying goes, time is money, and you most likely spend a good amount of time on your phone anyways, so why not get paid for it? One of my favorite apps to play is Puzzles and Chaos, a popular mobile fantasy strategy game blending match 3 puzzle combat with kingdom building and RPG elements. The graphics are beautiful and the lore keeps me playing for hours on end. And you don't even have to commit to playing any of these games. Free Cash will pay you just to check them out. Like, you can make a few bucks from simply downloading a game before you even played it, helping you rack up money fast and get your first cash out even faster at the minimum of $20, which, might I add, is the only time you have to get to that number since there's no minimum cash out after the first one. It has a wide variety of payout options ranging from PayPal to Amazon gift cards, so get going and turn your game time into rewards. You can do so by clicking the link that'll be provided in the description box below. But yeah, guys, if you ask me, when it comes to Transformers fans eating good, we have not been doing so. Our ribs are beginning to show, and that's because Hasbro hasn't necessarily been licensing this thing out to noteworthy game developers who will give us some good titles to play, similar to what we got in the yesteryear with the Cybertron games. It seems like just yesterday we did have a slight glimmer of hope with Transformers Reactivate, which was going to be something that evoked a similar atmosphere and gameplay style of the Cybertron games. But unfortunately, things didn't necessarily fall through like we thought. Although we received that reveal trailer and the toys associated with the game, we didn't see anything else after that. Promotions for the title became radio silent, not hearing from either Hasbro or the developers, that being Splash Damage, which raised a lot of eyebrows since the only ones keeping this game relevant was the actual content creators. As the hopeless optimist I am, I spent a great deal of time just dealing out content talking about how we could possibly be seeing this game at a certain date, only to be met with more radio silence. Like, it got so bad that we had to depend on leaks from a earlier build that wasn't even the same game that we were going to receive, since the project had switched over to a different development team. And don't even get me started on the testimonies that we got from people that actually worked on the game and how it was a harsh environment and how the bigwigs in charge had no direction going into this project. There was just a lot of things that showed you that the writing was clearly on the wall, but even then we remained cautiously optimistic because we know that it takes a lot of time in order to develop a game, especially when that game is being converted over into a different engine. It wouldn't be until January of last year where we would get the unfortunate news from the people themselves that the game was indeed cancelled, leading many to always wonder what could have been. Fast forward a year later and we're dealing with a similar instance, except these games have already been made. They just can't be played unless you are able to buy them before the licensing agreement expired. But anyways, if you guys remember back at the 2023 San Diego Comic-Con, a Hasbro spokesperson said that with the deal that they were making with Microsoft, they would be able to go through all the archives and every hard drive to find the Activision's lost games, including the Transformers titles, also noting that they'd be good additions for the Game Pass library. So clearly, as the license holder of the Transformers games, Hasbro had all the power to make that happen. The only thing Microsoft had to do was call them up and hammer out the details. And at that time, the only thing that was slowing down their process was the fact that the acquisition of Activision hadn't been completed by Microsoft. But the deal would eventually go through, leading us to wonder when things would start to manifest and we would really start getting news on these games being re-released. During the time of these rumors, Hasbro had already started releasing their Gamers Edition of the War for Cybertron action figures, which only added to the speculation bonfire. But the thing that made us really believe that these games were being brought back from the dead was the fact that we saw the long removed Steam page for Transformers Fall of Cybertron mysteriously reappear with all the assets and descriptions being added too, leading many of us to believe that this wasn't just a fluke, this was actually going to be happening. But after that, we didn't get anything else. Like, there were no signs that suggested that these games were going to get remade, let alone relisted on digital stores. stores. And a lot of you guys just kept asking me, hey, what's the update on these particular titles? Are we gonna get them or not? Because one of the things that I did mention about this was the fact that we weren't only just going to get the Cybertron games, we would essentially be getting every Transformers game that Activision had worked on, which included the movie tie-in games and Transformers Rise of the Darkspark, as well as Transformers Devastation, which is another game that's in that pantheon of awesome Transformers titles. Like, Transformers Devastation isn't just an awesome Transformers game, it's arguably the best action game that I have ever played. Like, I'm not lying, this isn't my TF bias showing here. It was just a very fun game to play, and that's thanks largely in part to the talented developers over at Platinum Games, who just knew how to take everything awesome about Transformers and make it even more awesome, just injecting so much style in ways we never could have imagined. And sadly, unless you were able to get that game and experience it when it released, you can only do so through watching YouTube videos or through shadier means like acquiring these cracked keys of the games. Either way, it's just unfortunate that a lot of people that missed out on those titles didn't get a chance to experience the greatness that they held, and it's even more unfortunate that we aren't seeing that same level of quality get put into more modern day Transformers titles. Hasbro just seems content on pimping out their Transformers license to any company. It doesn't matter if they're a prestigious one or one who just simply wants to exploit the property for a quick dollar. And if I'm gonna be honest with you guys, that's what I believe has been holding back these games from being re-released. I think Hasbro is the prime candidate because they have just been making these weird moves as of late when it comes to the way that they deal with Transformers. I remember Phil Spencer saying that he was more than willing to bring back these old franchises once the acquisition was complete. Like, this is the same guy that bridged the gap between Microsoft and Sony to start working with each other, allowing us to see Xbox games played over on the PlayStation. And that, in my honest opinion, should have never happened before we saw the Cybertron games get brought back or relisted, but it seems like Hasbro just isn't interested in doing so. They have yet to come out and make any official announcements in regards to these titles, not to mention that they haven't necessarily been moving like they used to do in regards to Transformers like they did when it was still flourishing and bringing them a lot of money. Think back when Michael Bay was at the helm of the Transformers movies, right? With each movie entry, you were guaranteed to get a game associated with it, whether it be something that follows a similar narrative to the movies such as Transformers 2007, or something that serves as a prequel like Transformers Dark of the Moon. And although this was a lazy cash grab, I somewhat appreciate the fact that they tried to merge the live-action Bayverse with the pre-existing assets of the War for Cybertron games to create Transformers Rise of the Darkspark. But that's a thing of the past, because if you notice, ever since we've gotten this new live-action continuity, we haven't received any movie tie-in games for consoles. I'm pretty sure there are things out there on the mobile side of things, but I don't necessarily keep up with phone games. I'm more so a controller in hand type of guy, and I like seeing things on my TV. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate that Hasbro has made it a point to neglect the gamer side of the Transformers fan base, because we are some dedicated fans who just loves playing with our favorite characters. And at this point, we would take anything, even if it means old games that we still enjoy playing for hours on end, from a story standpoint as well as an online one. That's one of the reasons why there have been so many dedicated servers to keeping Transformers Fall of Cybertron afloat, because the fans see that it has a lot of replay value. And all in all, the game is just timeless. There's so much to like about it, and a lot of people are hoping that we see something similar in a new Transformers game, if we ever get that. But that's all I got to say about that, guys. I hope that that answers your questions, especially when you ask me what I think about the current situation of these games being in this weird purgatorial state. I simply don't know, and the only thing I can really blame right now is Hasbro, because once again, the other side say they're ready and willing to do it. They want to make money, and Hasbro just needs to go ahead and jump in and sign the contract or renew the license in order for these things to go full sale. I'm pretty sure all the assets and things in regards to those titles are still there and ready to be repurposed. We just need everybody to get on board and do what they need to do to manifest them back onto these shelves and digital stores. But with all that said, what do you guys think about this? Do you feel like we will ever get these games? Or do you feel like Hasbro just doesn't care enough to bring them back? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, I ask that you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, you can give me a thumbs down. But if you really enjoyed this video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it with all your friends and followers on all the different social media outlets. Sharing really makes a difference. But once again, this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.